to amplify the voices and the struggle of the communities of Bayview, Hunters Point, and Treasure Island than the San Francisco Bayview National Black newspaper. Our first speaker is someone who is my friend, my comrade in struggle, and my confidant. She is the daughter of Marie Harrison.
That's right.
And we want to honor and lift up the legacy of Marie Harrison.
That's right.
And I want to tell you this, that her daughter, Ariane Harrison, has picked up the baton and she's running with it. Ariane is the founder of the Marie Harrison Community Foundation. And like I said before, I'm proud to call her my comrade, my friend, and my confidant. She is an amazing freedom fighter and environmentalist.
My name is Ariane Harrison, and I am the founder of Marie Harrison Community Foundation, Inc. Welcome, everybody, to San Francisco Earth Day. Everybody feeling the same way? We want to know why our kids are having problems with breathing. We want to know why kids that are diagnosed with breathing issues and people have so much cancer. We have the highest concentration of cancer in the city, right there in Bayview. That is a shame. When I say can we, y'all say live. Can we? Live. Can we? Live. When I say can we, y'all say live. All right. So like I said, folks, it's down to 2 minutes. Y'all gonna hear from some incredible and amazing people. The oldest, you already had your stage time. So we're gonna move on to the next person. What y'all say? When I say can we, y'all say live. Can we? Can we?
Welcome. Thank you all for coming and joining us in this fight. How many times do we have to come out here and do the same thing? How many times do we have to come out here and step on these steps and speak about our lives and our children's lives? How many memorials and funerals do we have to attend and continue to attend? And now we're in the middle of a pandemic. And we're getting hit harder. Baby, we've been knew about this. We've been sick.
Yes, we have.
Mayor and Shaman Walton, we're asking you to please listen to us. Come to our community, clean up, hold the people accountable. We are tired of our people dying. We are tired of the hospital visits. How many jobs have y'all lost for having to take y'all kids to the doctor so many times? How many times have y'all seen y'all grandmama out there or some elderly out there with an oxygen tank just on waiting for the long buses in our neighborhood? How many times do we have to sit there and watch it? It's becoming the normal. Why is it the normal?
Because they don't care.
Why don't they care? I am tired of it. We're out here coming together asking you guys to clean this stuff up. You see us. We are out here now. This is our city. We built this. Our people been here. Our ancestors been here. All of this is sacred ground. I am tired of people dying. I am tired of the breathing problems. Our kids missing school and they're getting them in trouble because they can't breathe.
You know, we can't breathe.
We are tired of it. We are people too. In the middle of a pandemic, y'all taking precautions. Take precautions in Treasure Island and Bayview Hunters Point. If it's so serious, it's been serious over there. We are tired of it. Enough is enough. Today we demand that you clean that stuff up. Go look over there. Look in Treasure Island. You wouldn't live there. You wouldn't have your kids living there. And I'm here today to say it. Enough is enough.
Don't cap it, clean it.
And right now, I'm going to read a speech from a resident that wasn't able to attend, but wanted to say something. It's ironic that in these times of the COVID pandemic that is affecting nearly every community in the world, the Bayview Hunters Point community does not feel any different than any other time. The air we breathe may not have had the virus before, but it always had something that made us sick, that killed us. Grave levels of toxic particles. Imagine going through a year like the last for decades now. If you were living in Bayview, Hunters Point, Treasure Island, you'd always have to wear a PM 2.5 mask or an N95 mask or a gas mask for that matter. It has always been a public health emergency for this community, not just right now. You know, in my line of work, they say you can't argue with data, and that's the prism through which I look at things. There's an abundance of data here that shows the toxic effects of the contamination at the shipyard that has been ravaging this community for decades. And what does this data point to? It points to people's lives, lost lives, people's health, people's wellness. It feels funny to say this, that during these times, but prioritize people's health, the health of people in this community that has suffered too long. Community that has been neglected for too long. Community that has been treated as the dumpster of the city.
That's right.
These times are not just of the great pandemic, but also of a reckoning of racial injustice that has been plaguing this country for centuries. A time when politicians and leaders are eagerly making promises to make amends, to fix the system, show us that in action. You have a great opportunity in front of you. I plead the leaders of this city, Mayor Breed, Shaman Walton, and the other Board of Supervisors to not just talk the talk, but take action now. Thank you.
Then let's follow the science. Okay, we have Mr. Mark Alexander. He's an epidemiologist. All right.
Greetings, everyone. The San Francisco Public Health Department and our city officials have failed and continue to fail the people of Bayview Hunters Point. Therefore, we're declaring a public health emergency in our community. Aside from the fact that black people and brown people have more pre-existing conditions than any other race ethnic group, that puts our people at greater risk for this terrible virus that's infecting our communities, COVID-19. We've got to put an end to this. The bulldozers that are out in the community right now, stirring up dust, is just adding to the problems that our people face who have asthma and chronic COPD. This is a very example of environmental racism, and we've got to put our foot down and call a halt to this development. God bless all of you.
We have Dr. Ahimsa Sumchai from Hunters Point Community Biomonitoring Program.
Thank you so much for being here. The Hunters Point Community Biomonitoring Program launched in January of 2019 as the first human biomonitoring program in the nation dedicated to offering human biomonitoring screenings to residents and workers on a federal Superfund site. Human biomonitoring measures pollution in people. And I know that you are as sick as I am of the Navy and the city and state regulators testing soil and testing buildings and testing air and not testing what is in your body, because until what is in your body gets cleaned up, it doesn't mean anything. The Hunters Point Community Biomonitoring Program has identified 3 significant clusters, and I invite you to come over to the office and see the mapping of what we have detected in residents and workers at the Hunters Point Shipyard. The Hunters Point Shipyard is actually 3 federal Superfund sites. Did you know that the shipyard's 500 land acres was designated a federal Superfund site in 1989. The Parcel E2 landfill on the shoreline is a federal Superfund site, and Yosemite Slough, that is south of the shipyard, fulfilled criteria for being a federal Superfund site, but it wasn't put on the national priorities list. The EPA kept the money. So what we have detected, one, is a cluster of people who have radiation in their urine, and the people live around the entry of the shipyard at Paloux and 3rd, and they work along the radiation contaminated shoreline. Makes common sense. There's no reason to doubt that finding. We also have a cluster of people who have 4 different toxins in their urine, their neighbors, and they have arsenic, manganese, vanadium, and gadolinium, and the statistical likelihood that 16 people would all have the same 4 toxins in their urine is absolutely impossible. And then this week we mapped a cluster of people who have cancer, and it corresponds very, very closely to the radiation cluster. It also includes dogs. The police officers in Building 606 had dogs that died. The police officers also have brain cancer in 2 and lung cancer in 1. So I want to just talk with you about some business, okay? Because we're all here to talk about an emergency declaration, and I'm just going to finish up and talk with you about how you declare an emergency. The state of California has an emergency plan, and it has 2 separate laws that allow for the declaration of a local emergency. The first is the Emergency Services Act. The second is the California Health and Safety Act. An emergency is defined by the state of California as any situation in which urgent immediate action needs to be taken to protect human life, safety, and property. And the wording of the California Health and Safety Code specifically says, please listen to me. The California Health and Safety Code was enacted to facilitate the response to hazardous materials and spills, and was expanded to exclude any imminent and proximate threat of the introduction of any contagious, infectious, or communicable disease, chemical agent, non-communicable biologic agent, toxic or radioactive agent, circumstances that most local health officers may declare a local health emergency. Therefore, as a licensed practicing operating physician in a facility within the jurisdiction of the region of imminent and proximate threat, as a former physician specialist with the San Francisco Department of Public Health, and as attending physician for the Persian Gulf Agent Orange Ionizing Radiation Registry of the Palo Alto Veterans Administration, Stanford Fellowship trained and board certified, and in the absence of principled, compassionate, and independent leadership by the local health officer, I hereby declare a local emergency under Section 1080 of the California Health and Safety Code at Naval Stations Hunters Point and Treasure Island.
Hi everyone, my name is Dr. Aude Bouagnon. I'm a PhD trained neuroscientist and training to become a doctor. I came to the city about 10 years ago with the dream of using science for social justice and to make this world a better place for all human beings. And that pursuit led me to medical school, realizing that I want to translate scientific discoveries, the cutting edge of science, into tools and solutions that help human beings. And I've had the great honor of working with Dr. Sumchai in this pursuit. As a doctor, I took an oath right here during my white coat ceremonies to do no harm and to stand up against all things that stand in the way of human rights and health. So that's why I'm here today. Mayor Breed, you've led us through a once-in-a-century pandemic, leading with science, and it's time to address the public health crises that have long predated the COVID-19 pandemic. I love you, San Francisco. Let me do the work. Let us be the generation of San Franciscans that lays down the burden of hate and ends the cycle of abuse and violence and deals with our public health crises. We've got the science, we've got the technology, I know we've got the heart to start making things right.
Miss Gloria Berry, San Francisco Democratic County Central Committee.
Community too, right?
Yes, ma'am. That's right.
That's right. I'm Gloria Berry. I was born and raised here in San Francisco. I served 12 years in the United States Navy.
All right.
My ship in 1996 was at the Hunters Point Shipyard. It's funny that the Navy's plan goes up to 91, but doesn't even address the fact that there was more contamination because my ship was there.
That's right.
My ship carried nuclear weapons. We came to that shipyard to get repairs and to get decontaminated. Where did them toxins go that came off our ship?
In the water.
Into the community.
Yeah, community. Period.
Now listen, when there was an abundance of cancer in Marin County, I don't know if some of you remember that, there was an abundance of cancer, And the medical profession went way out of their way to find out, why do these white women have breast cancer? And they studied it and studied it and studied it, and they found the thing they had in common was a lot of them took hormones. They stopped them from taking them. The cancer rate went down. They resolved the matter. Last time I checked, D10, there's a high rate of cancer, a high rate of asthma,
That's right.
but no effort to study the people,
That's right.
study what
Come on.
happened, to get down to the bottom of the issue.
That's right.
This is my grandson. He was born on Kiska Road.
Oh, hey, hey, hey.
When he lived there, coughing, 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 and coughing. When they moved out, the cough was gone.
That's right.
I don't know, but it doesn't sound good to me. Myself, I have a mysterious disease. I'm taking chemotherapy every night.
Whoa.
I look at it as, I might have got that in the Navy, but I signed up for that. But the community did not sign up for this.
That's right.
The community did not. One of the times I got pissed off in chambers, Marie Harrison was in there getting her commendation medal by Malia Cohen. And then President of the Board of Supervisors, who's now our mayor, told her, we will get that shipyard cleaned up. She told her that. And then she passed away. Marie Harrison passed away. She hasn't had that promise kept. We're still waiting.
Yes, yes.
Where's the action? How are you going to put 1 foot of cement over a contaminated area and
Don't cap it, clean it.
deem it safe?
Don't cap
How are you going to have
it.
people move in and tell them,
Don't cap it.
don't plant no food here?
Clean it. Oh, Lord.
You know, that's not right. So we have criminal justice we want housing justice, and we want educational justice, but we can't forget about environmental justice.
That's right. That's right.
Just like we could get killed by these police,
Yes.
we could get killed by this toxic soil.
Yes.
Treasure Island ain't no different. I was stationed on there too. I was stationed on that base.
Tell it.
I
Tell
haven't
it.
forgotten when we had the sign
Tell
saying
it.
don't walk past here because it's radioactivity. You take the fence down, does that mean the radioactivity leaves?
No, it's still there.
So I'm in solidarity. I demand we consider the shipyard a public health issue.
Public health.
I demand it be cleaned up.
Yeah.
And also, isn't it funny, even the police on our side on this one?
You know, they know what time it is.
And in closing, I want to let you know, I was elected to that DCCC last year. And I can submit resolutions all the time. So you know what I did? I submitted the one I felt would be the hardest to pass. And it was about the shipyard.
Yes.
My resolution said there should be a moratorium on that shipyard on building, and it passed. But are they keeping their word?
No, no, no.
I support the movement. Power to the people.
I want you to know that it's very important for us to demand that the mayor and the Board of Supervisors reach out to the new director of the Environmental Protection Agency, Michael Reagan, a black man. So he should know that it is communities of color that have been impacted disproportionately, not just from COVID-19, but from environmental racism. You don't see these types of toxic disasters in Palo Alto. I wonder why. They always come and visit where the black and brown and poor white people live. There is a class war at play. We have to have a multi-pronged strategy, a media campaign, all right, an activist campaign, and a legal litigation campaign. And with that said, I'm going to bring up our next speaker, and he is the man who is leading the litigation struggle in Treasure Island, and his name is Attorney Stanley Goff.
My name is Stanley Goff. I'm a civil rights attorney. I'm representing the residents in Treasure Island regarding the contamination that's taking place over there. A lot of people are not aware, but Treasure Island is undergoing or dealing with the same issues as the stuff that's jumping off in Hunters Point. In fact, I would say that Treasure Island is a Flint, Michigan 2.0. Now, we have brought a civil rights lawsuit. It's a class action. We're suing certain Navy officials, Tetra Tech, Shaw Environmental, the San Francisco Department of Public Health, in particular, Amy Brownell, the California Department of Public Health, in particular, Anthony Chu, the Treasure Island Development Authority, in particular, Bob Beck. I'll try to talk louder for you, brother. All right. Anyway, as a result of the contamination that's jumping off on Treasure Island, a lot of people are very sick. These particular officials, this is what we're alleging, and this is what we believe they have engaged in environmental fraud, high levels of it for the last 10 or 15 years. They have told people that the place was safe, that it was not contaminated, and that whatever contamination was on the island, it was safe for people to live. But that's impossible. We're talking about radioactive isotopes that last for thousands of years. Really, no one should even be living on the island at all. But in the name of trying to develop the property and make money, they're willing to let thousands of people, in particular poor people, black people, die on that island or suffer from catastrophic injuries, such as cancers, tumors, rashes that no one can explain, and whatnot. This is why I brought the lawsuit. I'm a civil rights attorney, and I have no problem bringing it against these individuals because what they're doing is wrong. I would like for you guys to repeat after me. We must stop environmental fraud and environmental racism. We must stop environmental fraud and environmental racism. We will stop environmental fraud and environmental racism. My name is Stanley Goff. Happy Earth Day.
Up next is Mothers and Fathers, the Mother and Fathers organization of Bayview, Hunters Point.
That's right.
All right, so here we are.
I'm the president of the Mothers and Fathers Bayview Hunters Point Committee. Hey, and you know what? I'm proud. I'm proud because you know what? This is the first time I've ever been president of something. Hey, but you know, I'm gonna let these two people, Renee, I'm gonna let these two people talk and tell you a little bit of something. But what I want y'all to do is make sure you call out the mayor and you call out the supervisors to do their darn job.
Man, let me say, I just want to say one thing. Me and my people in Bayview, Hunters Point, we declare, what's that called?
State of emergency.
A state of emergency, a public health emergency. Yeah, that's the one. A public health emergency, that's what we declare.
I just wanted to say Happy Earth Day to everyone, and remember this is indigenous land. We have to keep it clean. We have to remember our future children. This is not about us, it's about 2050. So Lennar, Shaman, London Breed, you're on notice. You're on notice. We have 3 demands. Clean up, not cover up. Declare a health emergency. And reparations. Transparency. No more lies. No more development. Stop right now and clean it up properly. We have a Superfund site. So we're calling out all of the state agencies, all of the climate action people to come together and look at District 10. We have a big issue with radiation that's seeping into Treasure Island, which seeps into Oakland, which is related to sea level rise. So all of us are going to be affected. But air, soil, water, it's all climate related. So let's remember that the people that were here first want this land to still be here. Thank you.
Brothers, our next speaker is someone who I've actually become friends with. She also is my comrade in struggle. We've actually joined together, and I was able to lobby for her to get on KPFA's Flashpoint. And we were also able to amplify the voices of one of the victims who have been subjected to this environmental toxic disaster. Yes. She has written over 85 articles about Treasure Island, and they have been published in the San Francisco Bayview National Black newspaper. She has done hundreds of interviews with the citizens. Her name is Carol Harvey, and she is our investigative journalist. The journalist for the people, Carol Harvey.
Thank you, Malif, my brother. And I love these beautiful faces out here today. It's so nice to see you. Nobody's mentioned George Floyd. What about that? What a win for us.
Yes.
That is fantastic. I was so happy because what I'm writing about Treasure Island about is the fact that San Francisco is a beautiful case of white supremacy from top to bottom. And Treasure Island is a little model of that, sitting right out there in that bay. Now I'm getting a little bit too excited here. Gotta walk it back a little bit. But honestly, I've been researching and working on Treasure Island for 8 years. And when I went out there, I was brought out there by a resident in 2014. And I decided to cover it as an investigative reporter because the mainstream media would not do it. And I found out later that the mainstream media had been told by the Willie Brown regime in San Francisco not to cover Treasure Island because they want to redevelop the place. And Treasure Island is as toxic, and I love Hunters Point. I write for the San Francisco Bayview National Black newspaper. I've been friends for Mary and Willie Radcliffe for years, and I write for that paper, and I love Hunters Point. And Treasure Island and Hunters Point, I've called them Siamese twins. They absolutely are. Hunters Point's a Superfund site. Treasure Island should have been called the Superfund site that it is, but they worked to keep it off the Superfund list and keep it off the national priorities list of Superfund sites so nobody would know how toxic it is. And Treasure Island's claim to fame is chemicals. Chemicals.
Speak into the microphone, Carol.
Okay, Treasure Island's claim to fame is both radiation and chemicals. The Navy took that island. It was a man-made island. They made the island for the Golden Gate International Exhibition after they built the 2 bridges. San Francisco was all excited about that, so they built themselves an island in the middle of the bay. And then the Navy saw the opportunity to grab that island because it was the central point for their operations in the Bay Area. And so they set it up as an administrative base, and they also had radiation schools on it. After they dropped the bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, they decided, the Navy and the military decided all wars would be nuclear from then on. So they got sailors, hundreds, thousands of them a month, funneled them through Treasure Island and put them in these radiation schools to show them how to handle nuclear attacks on ships. And in the process, the Navy dropped all kinds of radiation pieces in the soil on Treasure Island. And also, there were burn pits. I was talking to Dr. Sumchai about the burn pits on Treasure Island just a moment ago. And she was really shocked to find out the whole place, well, not the whole place, but underneath the houses were burn pits. They built the houses on top of burn pits, and these burn pits are highly toxic. That's where the chemicals come from. So Treasure Island has a mother lode of radiation and chemicals in the soil. There have been people living out there since 1999. And they're 3/4 people of color. Are you surprised about that?
No.
No, you are not. Willie Brown decided to solve the homeless problem by shunting all these people who are homeless into programs on Treasure Island. And most of them were black. But then John Stewart got its claws into the place, and they took the Navy housing and put a lot of lower income white people in there.
So, the island is 3/4 people of color and about 1/4 white people. The trick of this is that these islanders, the reason I'm here today talking about this is I've been told to stop, so just, I led up to the most important part, naturally. Treasure Islanders have been told if they come to an event like this and talk publicly about that, they will be harassed and evicted off that island. I've seen it happen. I've been to the eviction proceedings. It is vicious. They're poor. They don't have lawyers. They can be evicted, and they will be. So they can't show up here. Now these islanders, I'll leave you with this little bit, which you'll recognize from Hunters Point. They have tooth loss. They have hair loss. They have cancers. They have seizures. Their dogs have seizures. They have heart attacks. These are people that I've got to know well. They're good friends of mine who I love, and they're suffering on Treasure Island right now. Somebody walked past the cleanup zone in the last 3 weeks, got wind in the face, and she got facial burns from just walking past the cleanup zone.
30 seconds, Carol.
Treasure Island is a toxic dump.
There you go.
These people have to be helped out there, given medical care, and maybe moved off the island. Thank you very much for listening. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Why isn't the EPA out there?
Profit.
Why isn't the EPA out there? How many of our politicians are in the pay of Lennar? These are the questions that a reporter would ask. I'm a reporter, and I became a reporter. I was transformed politically while I spent nearly 20 years in prison. That's right. I spent nearly 20 years of my life incarcerated. And during that time, I was bolstered and I was educated by the writings and the words and the political education of the Black Panther Party. And there was a member of the Black Panther Party who I actually studied a lot about. She took over as the chairwoman of the party when things were in disarray. When there was turmoil in the party, she stepped up and she stood up and held up the banner of the Black Panther Party. And that woman is here with us today, and her name is Elaine Brown. Elaine Brown.
First of all, we have to always say all power to the people. And the reason that we say that is we know that that verdict came in the other day because of the power of the people, not any justice in the injustice system. So let's not be deluded. I would like to take 2 minutes. I'm not going to take any more, but half of my time I'm going to say Gwen Woods, Mother Gwen Woods, and Mother of Mario Woods. Can we just give a moment about that? Murder by this city. Nobody doing anything about it. Some of us are. We have attorneys here about that. But Gwen Woods wanted this thing, but she has to work every day because she didn't get no money for the death of Mario Woods, like some people have been able to do over the years. So Gwen wanted to say that she grew up here in the Bayview. She was born in Kaiser Hospital. She said, I must state that I was outraged when I saw the video of Lennar Corporation coming into the Bayview with this total disregard for black folks in our community, disrespect of us as black people. And we have always endured to see the video of this illegal dumping in a climate of COVID-19, sheer disregard to our children, our elderly, our family, and our friends. It was and is blatant and callous disrespect. I was reminded from this city, which has impacted my family on every and all levels of evil, first your terrorist group disguised as a police department. I came back to San Francisco to care for my terminally ill mother, that I know there was an environmental impact of the toxicity of Bayview impacted my mother's health, and I feel the cancer was even expedited, the progression of her cancer that took my mother's life. So she goes on to tell us that her mother and her father both died of cancer because of the toxicity on the shipyard. And so she knows that this system can execute and annihilate and dig up toxic soil without any accountability. So now, not only is my son's blood on the hands of this city, my mother's life is as well. So I feel disgusted with the very whole government of San Francisco. I know my mother would be outraged if she were alive. She said, so here's what I have to say. If no one at the highest level steps up against this entity named Lennar, you are complicit with this group. Or maybe your agenda was and is to help in the genocide of the Bayview. Yes, I said genocide. When you deliberately partake in the destruction of a large group of people, a community of people, it is genocide. Truth is, between the San Francisco Police Department and Lennar, we are at war. Gwen Woods. So thank you for allowing me to read her statement, and because I don't want to hog this mic, because we're all out here, and I'm glad to see everybody here celebrating Earth Day. Yes. So I want to just say this. I was told that I'm an outsider because I don't live in Hunters Point, and because I haven't lived here. But wait a minute, hold up. Shaman Walton actually said that he didn't want to see outsiders like me coming here trying to talk about Hunters Point. You know, that's what they used to say to Dr. King back in the day, am I right? They say, oh, all these racists used to always say, oh, he's an outside agitator. How can I agitate what already exists, right? But I come here in the spirit of the Black Panther Party, which fed children in Hunters Point and fought the police in Hunters Point. Not just with words, but with guns. We done forgot that. We don't want to talk about that, do we, Malik? Okay, I'm sorry. People get nervous when you start saying stuff like that. Yeah. And as a black woman who's been fighting for our people for over 50 years, age 78 years old, I want to have somebody tell me what black community I can't walk into, because I'm welcome in Hunters Point. I belong in Hunters Point because Hunters Point is my community. So I just wanted to give that point. This Superfund site has poisoned our people after they assembled a goddamn bomb and killed all the people in Japan. Now, what kind of a community are we living in that this has gone on so long? To pretend like plutonium and whatever other elements that the doctors and chemists can determine can be cleaned up on one part of the shipyard. Wait a minute. Parcel A is clean. Plutonium ain't going over there because plutonium recognizes the rights of Parcel A to be plutonium. How stupid is that? Plutonium doesn't have any, does it, Malik? Do you think plutonium is holding off on Parcel A right now? This is about money and about greed. This is about Lennar's billion, or as my friend Charles Bonner likes to say, $1 trillion development, and about the collaboration of this city's government from day one to today. This city created this mess and is continuing it in order to make money. How can this mayor claim she's black first? Do you remember when she was saying that? She said, I'm black first and foremost. How do you claim you're black? How do you claim the verdict in the murder of George Floyd case opens doors to eliminating police murders of blacks when you are silent on Lennar and in the Shipyard development? We begged her. We went to her. She pounded on the table and talked crazy to me. Silent on the San Francisco police murders of Mario Woods and Kenny Harding. Silent on the destruction of black life in San Francisco, and you want to claim blackness. You done lost your black card with me. But Board President Shaman Walton is not silent. He told me personally he wasn't going to do a damn thing about a moratorium until he personally did a study and a soil study. But in the meantime, Lennar is hurling dirt and chemicals throughout the community.
Because they don't care.
Not only don't they care, they got an interest in some money, brother. It ain't just, oh, they do care, but it ain't about us, okay? So I want to just close by saying, is this why black people got beaten down on Bloody Sunday in Selma in 1965 so we would elect people like this to represent us? No, it is not. Is this why we protest the ongoing loss of voting rights to put Negroes in office to take money from Lennar? Let's not get it twisted. No. So we have to be serious. We got a solution for the moment. We do need to clean it up, but we can't clean it up while Lennar's steady building, digging up dirt and so forth. So I say, London Breed, do your job. Declare a moratorium on Lennar's Shipyard development. I say, Shaman Walton, you are the now president. You represent the district, and you're now the president of the board. Do your job for your district, for your people. Sponsor a resolution and call for a moratorium on Lennar's development. And then I'm going to just say at the end, I'll say up with the people, down with Lennar, and all power to the people. Thank you.
So we're going to bring on the other attorney, we talked to Stanley Goff. He told us what's going on in Treasure Island. But now we have to bring on our champion, who is fighting for the civil and human rights of the citizens of Bayview Hunters Point. The person that has stood on the front line and faced down Lennar and Tetra Tech and told them that you are liars. And if you are a politician in San Francisco, if you're in the pay of Lennar, then continue what you're doing and remain quiet. But after this Earth Day rally today, if you stand with the people of San Francisco, if you care about black, brown, and poor white people being subjected to environmental racism, then stand up and say something. I want to introduce all of you to the attorney that is representing the citizens of Bayview Hunters Point. His name is Attorney Charles Bonner.
You know, growing up in Selma, Alabama, the brother talked about doing 20 years in the joint. I did 19 years in the joint of segregation in Selma, Alabama. And the way we got out is through unity. Black, white, brown people getting together and demanding in the streets change. Now, we have to do it in the streets. We will also do it in the courts. And in a minute, I'm going to tell you what we're going to do about Lennar in the courts. And I thank my brother Stanley Goff for standing as a warrior in this effort. But first of all, there are three competing interests here. One, money. Lennar has $1 trillion project. No one is against money. That's going to bring jobs to San Francisco. That's their argument. We all are okay with money. But it's the health of the people in Hunters Point is the point that Lennar is ignoring. And the other third competing interest is the environment. Now, we can unify all three of these, and we will unify. Now, we can expect Lennar to do the right thing and agree to a moratorium, but they won't do that. So we are going to take legal action to make that happen, and we're going to need you. We're going to need you to stand with us. In other words, we're going to bring an injunction to stop Lennar from digging, to stop them from excavating, and not forever, but at least until we can get some scientists and some medical doctors like Dr. Sumchai to figure out a protocol that they can resume safe digging in a way that would protect the health of the people in the community. We cannot maintain the status quo. I mean, right now we are celebrating the victory of the verdict in George Floyd case because he said, I can't breathe. Well, let me tell you, who's here from Hunters Point? Okay, who here from Hunters Point knows someone with cancer? Okay, here's people from Hunters Point know someone who's died of cancer. You know somebody who can't breathe. You know, you can all say, I can't breathe, so that these people up here can hear you. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. The earth can't breathe. And this is unacceptable. So this is what we're going to do, the legal action we're going to take against Lennar. Within the next, 5 or 6 days, we're going to bring a lawsuit. We just got an order from the court to allow us to bring a lawsuit for injuries against Lennar. Initially, we sued Lennar only for an injunction to stop them from digging. And they didn't dig in 2018. They didn't dig in 2019, but they snuck around. They got very sneaky on us and started digging in 2020. And they didn't give anybody any warning, contrary to the law of Proposition 65, where they have to give proper notice. They didn't do that. And now they must be stopped. And we will then go into court and ask the court for an injunction for a temporary period of time, for a moratorium, until we can get, as I mentioned, scientists and doctors selected by Lennar as well as us, as well as by the court and authorized by the court to figure out a safe way to resume digging if they can. Now, the question is, what are the contaminants in Hunters Point? Now, there is the Environmental Protection Agency has listed in a 28-page document, 28 pages of toxins. 28 pages of toxin. We're talking about plutonium. We're talking about cobalt-60. We're talking about cesium-137. We're talking about magnesium. We're talking about manganese. We're talking about all kinds of radioactive radionuclides. These are carcinogenics. The half-life of these you take uranium, you take plutonium, the half-life of these radionuclides, like millions and millions of years, just for half of these toxins to dissipate. And yes, these toxins are like the slick lawyer that represented Devin Chauvin. They try to find loopholes. They will leave Hunters Point, and they will come right here to City Hall. So these people are also at risk, and they don't know that. So listen, unity is the point. Stay unified. Everybody, we can't lose one soldier. Unify for justice for us and for the environment. Thank you.
Dang, Miss Bree, this is not a game. We ain't out here playing. We're here for business. We want you to do your damn job that we put you in the office to do, and that's to protect human lives first. Human lives always come first.
A lot of people today. But if we do not leave here with a made-up mind to continue to demand that our elected leaders take action, then all this is for nothing. The sister that just spoke, she brought something to my mind. She brought the Ohlone people to my mind. The indigenous people that were here way before we were here. There is a debt that we owe to them. And I'm going to speak to my fiance, Nube Brown. We haven't forgotten about the humanity of the people, Nube. We haven't forgotten about the indigenous people that suffered here and where they were the first ones to be the victims of genocide. And guess what? Genocide is still going on in Bayview Hunters Point. Genocide is still going on in Treasure Island. I want to bring up our next and our last speaker, and he is a person who I am learning to respect and trust. And he reached out to me and said, Malik, would you come and MC this event with Ariane Harrison? And I said yes. I want to bring up Bradley Angel.
So I'm Bradley Angel with Green Action for Health and Environmental Justice. And, I started working in Bayview Hunters Point back in 1988 when one of the grandmothers of the community at the time, who's no longer with us, Espanola Jackson, asked for help. And Jesse Mason, who's also no longer with us. And when Green Action was formed in 1997, we actually got a grant to help fight the PG&E Hunters Point power plant. And I immediately went out and asked Ariane's mom, Marie Harrison, would she come work for Green Action, a longtime community leader. And Marie's no longer with us. Marie worked with Green Action for 20 years, a beloved community leader, friend, comrade. In a few weeks, it'll be the 2-year anniversary. And until her last breath, literally that afternoon, she was on the phone with me. What are we going to do about those, and I'm not going to say the word right now, who inhabit City Hall? Because they protect polluters and not the people. And, a lot of people say Happy Earth Day. Well, I don't think it's such a happy day. Because the Earth isn't doing too good, and Bayview Hunters Point's not doing too good, and Treasure Island's not doing too good. A few years ago, Carol Harvey and a then resident of Treasure Island took me for a little toxic tour. And as some of you know, there's about 2,000 people, many in subsidized housing, living literally, I'm not making this up, literally on top of or maybe 15 feet from radioactive waste. And you know what the state said? The chain link fence protects them. And how is it that in City Hall, where we have an African-American mayor, an African-American chair of the Board of Supervisors, how is this possible, Mayor Breed? How is it possible, Shaman Walton, that in a city that proclaims they're environmental leaders on Earth Day, leaders in addressing climate change, Black Lives Matter? Well, I don't think Black Lives matters to them. What matters to them is green, and I'm not talking environment. It's Lennar. It's corporate developers. And that is unacceptable. And so I'm so glad to see people from the community here today. We need to stay united. When Lennar got approved by the city years ago, they started buying off groups. And other developers like the India Basin Mixed Use Company is doing the same. And the city's doing the same. But are they buying us off? No. Hell no. So Shaman Walton, Mayor Breed, on the occasion of this Earth Day, we demand justice for Bayview Hunters Point. We demand justice for Treasure Island. Stop this environmental racism. We need a moratorium. We need a halt to Lennar. We need to kick them out of town. They are poisoning people. They tolerated the fraud that went on there. Enough is enough. So let's stay united, and the people united will win. Thank you all.
So the press, you invited the press here.
The press did, the mainstream press did get invited. Fortunately, we have social media, and we'll be publicizing this more, so the word got out. But, you know, it's mainstream capitalist media, and what can you do?
On Earth Day, the major demonstration in San Francisco City Hall, there's no media, corporate media, ABC, NBC.
That's right. You know, I will say the good thing is, due to a lot of people's efforts, there has been some finally decent mainstream coverage, but certainly not today, and we just keep up the struggle. We do what we got to do.
You were talking about being in the Navy.
Yes.
And you were at the shipyard. Why don't you talk about that? What's your experience?
Right. I was a radio.
Introduce yourself again.
Hi, my name is Gloria Berry. I'm a native in San Francisco. I'm a veteran. I served 12 years in the United States Navy. I served on 3 ammunition ships. One of them was the USS Mount Hood, which was docked at the Naval Shipyard after the time frame the Navy had decided to clean it up. We still had ships there. My ship was capable of carrying nuclear weapons. And when we came there, we came to the shipyard for repairs and also to decontaminate the ship. My concern is I have a mysterious illness. I have a mysterious disease that I take chemotherapy for. Did I get it from that situation? The veterans can't figure it out. They don't know. But I signed up for that matter, but the community didn't.
But decontaminate, what does that mean?
Right, decontaminate, they'll chip the ship, they'll chip all the paint off the ship, sand it down, air blast it and whatnot, and those particles and any substances in those particles go out into the community.
So were you informed that there was danger to you?
Pick it up.
Were you informed there was a danger to the naval personnel, that this is a radioactive ship and you could be contaminated?
I still have to this day, I have information we were given about radioactivity. It was a small training we received. I was in my early 20s. I did not know how grave that being around those type of radiation frequencies along with the actual chemicals, the actual elements would be. I had no idea.
So basically you were kind of guinea pigs. They had you out there and you were being contaminated.
I believe so.
And how has it affected you?
It affects my lungs, my heart, my organs, my skin. And like I say, I have to take oral chemotherapy for the rest of my life.
And has the Navy been held responsible for what's happening?
The Navy gives me free medical care, but they do not qualify it as a veteran military-related illness because they don't even know what it is.
So they haven't said that this is part of your injury as a result of being in the military?
No, they haven't.
And the people that live out there, while this construction is going on, how do you think about the fact that they're throwing up dirt in Hunters Point and Treasure Island in these construction projects? There's no oversight and people are continuing to be contaminated.
I think it's sad, especially on the most basic level, because all they would have to do is test the community, and then that's testing the land. The test of the helicopter flyovers, and that was supposed to scan and find out. The test of people walking around, scanning the ground with a meter, and because something didn't show on that's conclusive is sad. They used fraudulent tests by a company called Tetra Tech, where 2 people went to prison because of the false results and what they used to do that. Why isn't that allowed? Where is the $60 billion that our Congressman Pelosi allocated for this matter? How's that money being spent? We don't see nothing being done.
Do you think that money should be spent on the residents who have been contaminated and workers?
Most definitely. Reparations as long as medical care. Everyone in the area, prior and now, should be tested. It's a simple urine test. See what metals are in their urine. See if they have cesium, high level of cesium, radium.
And you passed a resolution What was that resolution? Who passed it, and why isn't it being acted upon?
Yes, I passed it. Resolutions are urging. They're not binding. They're not law binding. However, it
passed
did
it?
say, I passed it. I presented it to the San Francisco Democratic Party, and it was my first resolution because I knew it would be the hardest to pass. It included Treasure Island as well.
What did the resolution say?
It says for there be a moratorium on further disrupting earth-moving equipment on the Hunters Point Shipyard.
Well, all these politicians in San Francisco are members of that, aren't they?
Not all. There are some, and it did pass.
What happened?
They're still doing earth-moving actions over at the shipyard.
When did it pass?
It passed June 2020.
That says it all.
That says it all.
My name is Dr. Aude Bouagnon. I'm a neuroscientist and medical student at UCSF.
People are getting sick here. Is that the case at Hunters Point and Treasure Island?
Absolutely. I think the data is very, very clear that District 10 has some of the highest rates of asthma and cancers anywhere in the city. It's a federal Superfund site. People are being exposed to all sorts of heavy metals and radionuclides. Dr. Ahimsa Sumchai's biomonitoring clinic has now been detecting heavy body burden loads of these heavy metals and toxins, which provides an unrefutable link between the exposures from the shipyard and people's health.
You told the city that? Is the city aware of that?
Been working to continue raising this point to the city. I'm new to this fight and I'm going to continue lending my voice and expertise as I can to continue demanding that the city does what's right and protects the lives of its citizens.
And also, I understand there's a UCSF facility there.
Yes, there is a UCSF animal facility there. It's a history that I'm still as well learning, but all of our public institutions have a role to play in correcting these historical harms.
What do you think about the idea of the development, moving the dirt around and in the middle of a pandemic and no real oversight?
Yes, we know we're in the middle of COVID-19, a respiratory pandemic, and so moving all these soil-moving activities that are throwing up dirt and these radionuclides are just compounding the problem and just exposing people to all sorts of chemicals that should not be within our bodies.
So if they already have health problems, and then you're throwing this dirt around?
Absolutely compounding those issues.
What does it say about 2021 Earth Day San Francisco?
That's what I'm trying to figure out, It's like, where are we going as a city and as a collective? It's unacceptable to me, and I think it's choices that we live and that we make every day, and so...
What do you think is behind it? You think it's a profit, the developers, or a lot of money to be made?
That seems to be the rules of the game, unfortunately. Seems like profits goes above people in all sorts of our different sectors, from healthcare to development efforts. So it's, yeah.